Alright, I woke up late today to find out that Frontier snuck out a feature focus video I wasn't prepared for, so let's look at this. GW3 Breeding Programs Feature Focus.
Welcome to DIN, the Dinosaur Integration Network. With access to the latest in technology, we are at the forefront of paleocuration and are now synthesizing male dinosaurs, opening up all new opportunities into breeding and family observation. This is where your training starts. At DIN, we aim to create an environment where Mother Nature can run its course, encouraging dinosaur families to thrive through natural breeding. However, that's not to say that we don't sometimes step in. We've developed various nests suitable for land, aquatic, and flying species. When placing, it's important to consider the species you'll be breeding and any necessary requirements such as keeping the nest away from guests or other dinosaurs. Now, let's check the fertility of our chosen mother. Looks like she's ready. You'll need to line up a compatible male and find an available scientist. Through breeding programs, you will watch his traits pass down generations, surfacing in the offspring's color and behavior. You might even find certain traits disappear for a few generations, only to surface again. As with life,
interesting.
They find a way. You should now be well prepared to start breeding your dinosaurs, and be sure to watch the rest of our modules for further training on managing your park.
Okay, some interesting stuff there. Plus a returning species confirmation. Let's just go through this.
Welcome to DIN, the
I'll mute it. Okay, Tropognathus, returning species. So this to me reads as a family unit, right? Hold on, can I? Yeah, we can go higher quality. It was not maxed. I should have checked that before. So this reads as a family unit. This reads male. This reads female. But this is just a patterned Tropognathus and an unpatterned one. Like, I don't really see a difference. Like, you could create these in GW2 by just taking the pattern off. Which is interesting in the sense of, like, we've got apparently a male-female unit, if that's what this is, where there is not substantial dimorphism. Which makes sense. Some animals should be that way. But it also feels a little cheap. Of course, we got the baby over there, which does look different, obviously. Loki, showing off Loki again, makes sense. He just revealed his little sitting animation's fun. He's got his little hands like that. Okay, this is interesting. So we get a peek at the hatchery system, right? Same thing as before. You get a clutch of eggs, and then you select the individual eggs you want to breed. But now we see dominant genes, presumably the genes that are being actively expressed in the animal. The skin pattern, and then the male and female. So that gives us a little bit of an idea of how this is going to work, right? So they say this later in the video, but there's definitely like a dominant recessive trait system in the game now where, this thing will have dominant social, dominant defensive, but if you crossbreed this with an animal that doesn't have social or defensive, these traits maybe aren't expressed, right? They might be recessive traits, but it's, got the double chromosome for that, and then it breeds, only half the chromosomes transfer, the trait is recessive, so it's blocked out by the other trait, or the null trait, which will be interesting when it comes to things like in GW2, we just spam humble social all the time for alphas. At least I do. We being the channel. So this might change how that works a little bit if, dominance fades over time. You have a second generation that grows up, takes control, but humble and social are maybe recessive, so it's harder to keep them in the population. Might be very interesting. I mean, this could be a really cool system. I kind of hope in addition to like the standard genes we have in 2, some of the like animal stats have associated hidden genes. So like if you have stronger Lokiceratops and you breed them together, you can keep having stronger ones. But if you have a stronger one and a weak one, you might end up, you know, spreading weak genes throughout the bloodline, which sounds problematic, but is interesting for gameplay perspectives. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to see here. We get a good look at the male to female difference. It's a different clutch of eggs. It just cuts to one where there's a male. Um, Interestingly, Sonoran Rana female, Death Valley Rana male. So entirely different pattern. Even the color palette of the pattern is different for the Rana on these two. The other one was like blue and this one's yellow. So that's neat. This is a gorgeous looking male with like the color palette, the gray fading into the like the pinkish and like the yellow highlights and everything looks very nice. I really like the gradient coming out of the horns. It looks good. I don't see anything else here that's of relevance that was on the last screen. Transition. Breeding programs. So we'll have to look at these screenshots. These in-game shots. There might be some interesting stuff. So nest in the background there. It looks like every nest we've ever seen. The nests so far really appear to have one model. However, it is possible that they're modular as well, and that you can customize your own nests. But so far, this is essentially the only nest we've ever seen for land animals. Then we've got the aquatic one, which is this stand of kelp they presumably swim into and then swim out with a magic baby. And then we should just have a little bit of audio on, even if it's quieter. Placing. Then we've got the pterosaur nest, which we've never seen. This caught me off guard. All the bones is fun. And you can actually see the nest here for this one. So like for the other two nests kind of made me think you'd never actually see the nest in game, but for the pterosaurs, for this one you do. I almost wonder, because this has the rock above it. Like, no, it's clearly a different rock. I was gonna say I wonder if these are actually the same nest, and this has just been customized, but maybe not. The nest is very JP3-ish with all the bones. Very cool. Maybe doesn't make sense for like, you know, a controlled park to have a bunch of carcasses in your nesting area, but maybe they're fake. Maybe you can imagine they're fake. Another look at the nest UI. This is different than what we saw before. The last time we saw this, there was 3 nests of scaling size, and then there was a weird circular one, and then the lagoon one. And we were speculating on what the weird circular one is, and now it's just gone. There is no weird circular one. So clearly the weird circular one was the aviary one. It was just a filler icon, which makes some sense. So yeah, I mean, currently, these appear to not be modular buildings. However, nothing in here appears to be modular. There's no, like, well, maybe this. Maybe this is a hatchery. That might be a modular hatchery. We do know modular hatcheries exist. I think we've seen those. I don't know. Curious.
It's important to consider the species.
Flying reptile nesting area. So yeah, this is pterosaurs. 60k, no power. Place custom. I don't know if that means anything. Place custom. Unless you can... customize them somewhere else in the UI and then set. It doesn't make. Maybe. I'm a little confused by place custom. I'm probably reading too much into that.
It's important to consider the species you'll be breeding, and any necessary requirements, such as keeping the nest away from guests or other.
Let's look at that again.
Guests or other dinosaurs. Just keeping.
Wait. Okay, yeah, 60K nest preferences. So this is a Tropognathus aviary. So the nest knows that, right? It detects Tropognathus. No requirements. Happy. So this nest works for trope breeding.
Any necessary requirements,
it would seem.
Keeping the nest away from guests.
And then yeah, it says no requirements. So I don't know if that's no additional requirements or if like their dialogue here about keeping it away from you know, guests or whatever maybe doesn't apply actually to this animal. Just in the example, they're just stating it. Nothing to really be seen there. Female alpha, still a piscivore, still fish feeders. So interestingly, like deep water allows animals to feed to fish, but that might only apply to land animals and not pterosaurs who may still need these fish feeders.
Chosen mother.
It would be really cool though if we had diving pterosaurs, because that's in the films. We see pteranodons dive into the water multiple times. And it'd be really cool if you had deep water in an aviary, if you would actually see them dive in to catch fish. That would be sick. Breeding heat map, contraceptives. We've seen all this shit before. So yeah, the fertility modifiers, the fertility chart. Trope's got a weird triple peak thing going on here.
Looks like she's ready. You'll need to.
So this is interesting. Breeding program, structured breeding program. So the video would lead you to believe you need to use the scientists to make them breed, but we know this isn't true. They can breed on their own. The point of the structured breeding program is to use your scientists to select specifically which ones breed, which I guess is the point. This is called the breeding program's feature focus, not the breeding feature focus. So this is specifically talking about how you, as a park manager, selectively breed your animals. And like what the consequences of that, specifically the dominant recessive genes and stuff like that. So this is not a catch-all on breeding technically.
To line up a compatible male and find an available scientist.
What was there a cost associated with that? The manager in me is curious. Start program, assign scientist, compatibility average, create plan. Yeah, there's no sign of the cost that might be there. Okay, there's the best look we've had yet at the little goblin baby. He's got a hell of an overbite.
Even find certain traits disappear for a few generations, only to surface again. As with life, they find a way.
Okay, I mean, we're just seeing more of the Japanese biome here because there's the cherry trees in the back. But this biome, this enclosure specifically has a bunch of paleo veg. Because you got this, you got this tree. This is nuts. This is this tall leaf? I don't remember which one this is. I'm not gonna lie. I don't care about plants. A bigger shot of a park. So, anything interesting to see here? Well, we got probably a Japanese viewing gallery. We've got concrete fence, and then it switches over to heavy fence. There's probably no consequence there. That's probably a stylistic choice. Good variety, it looks like, in the trees. Could be hard to tell. We do have not just strictly cherry trees. We have a mix, which is cool. Bunch of other buildings in the background. Not much to really draw from that, I would say. It does... Okay, monorail back here. So this is presumably all the same park. Power station, I think, there. That's the Innovation Center equivalent for this building set. There's also some fall trees mixed in, which is fun. We did this in our quote-unquote JW3 park build, and I don't think we'd actually seen those before. So that's cool. A little bit of decorative pathing there. Yeah, so it looks to me like the map here, that might be a lagoon. This is probably the same like overall map we've seen before, but it looks like there's buildings up here on this ridge, all the way over to here, and then all the way around here. So this is probably a Tucano style map centered around a natural body of water. We do know map borders are still like the same. So that's this doesn't appear to be, this is just undeveloped water. So I think this is where the map edge lies. But that looks like a pretty cool map. I like the multiple, like these might be like these multiple levels, right? These are either inherently part of the map or these are added by the player. And either way, it looks really cool having these like raised areas. I really do like that. We're gonna have some fun with that when we do map designs. Also, they got a backup power here. Is this running some of this park? That's terrible management. Get good.
And be sure to watch the rest of our modules for further training on managing your
All right, and then that's it. All right. Interesting little video, but yeah, just the one new animal confirmation in the form of this fella, Mr. Tropognathus. Okay, yeah. It's also worth checking Steam every now and then for when they do little articles to accompany these videos. The article accompanying this feature focus video only really tells us one little tiny piece of information, which is welcome to your first Dinosaur Integration Network training video, i.e. we're getting these DIN videos for game mechanics. So that's cool, right? Kind of in-universe way to explain some game mechanics. If we go to the Loki Ceratops, I missed this in our Loki Ceratops video. They do have a little bit more information here. This is probably mostly in the video, but I don't remember them saying this specifically. Favors a mix of wetland and cover in their enclosures. So Loki Ceratops apparently has a notable wetland need, which is surprising. Social and well-suited to living with other herbivores, particularly ceratopsids, which is very different than the JW2 ceratopsids. Some of them can cohab, but you would never say about any of the two animals that they are well-suited to living with other ceratopsids. Also, like this has to be true for the other ceratopsids. So Loki Ceratops, if it follows exactly the same way the mechanic works in 2, you would have to have Loki Ceratops be liked by most of the other ceratopsids for this statement to be true. Protective of the young, will defend them. Then a little information about the animal, discovered in 2019 in Montana. Loki, the Norse god, hailing from late Cretaceous. Like their nest to be private and outside of other species' territory when breeding a natural population, include enough room for these ceratopsids to nest together in peace from other species. So this is a little specific information about their breeding conditions, and we've seen this kind of condition before, so this isn't really new information. We do get a new screenshot here for the Loki that we never... this is not from the video. This is like a standalone screenshot. With the male in the back there looking really nice. Look at that frill design. That's so good. Animal continues to even deliver. Like, it delivers beyond the initial reveal when you see more awesome looking patterns. This looks so good. So yeah, we'll definitely, I know now, since the Loki Ceratops video, to come here to Steam to check their articles for additional information. So we'll definitely keep an eye on this in the future for any future reveals.